task, number, sense, routine. Again, it's interactive. So if you haven't already opened up and got into the PowerPoint, please go ahead and do so, because we'll be asking you to fill in places as we go along. So reminder. You can tell it's 8 o'clock in the morning. Hi, my name is Tammy Gaudette, and I am an instructional support specialist for the district for math.
And I'm Jennifer Sears. I'm a K-5 elementary math support specialist, teacher support specialist for curriculum and instruction. Happy to have you.
And as we do every time we meet up, we ask for what number, sense, routines you've been doing. If you've tried anything new, could you put it in there? Or if you haven't told us one of your teams, go ahead and put that in the chat for us. Or one you're thinking about trying.
Yeah, no, we're just keep on trucking along with. These guys need lots of practice with numbers. They're not comfortable with even making tens right now.
Right. Yeah.
I teach fifth grade, but I haven't been doing it with them, but I've been doing it with my 5-year-old. He's a pre-K kid. And I'm just amazed. I guess I've been doing a good job with him. He can count all the way to 200, and he knows his decades, and he knows what number's closest to what number. I don't think I actually taught him anything like specific strategies, or he just knows there's 5. Fifth graders still don't know there's 5 fingers in your hand, but he does.
Perfect. Yeah. Have you ever been trained in Advantage Math?
I have.
Okay. See, that's why I was just thinking you might want to go with him and do some of those activities with the make 10 and make 5 and doubles and stuff like that. Especially, or the number word before, number word after. So I'm just, yeah, sounds like you're doing a good job with him. So yeah, keep up. And I agree with you, Raina. Anything we can do, especially since they can't feasibly touch stuff. So even if you send a homework, have the teacher send a homework assignment, especially the younger ones, just have like counting stuff. I know kinder and first, they just need to count things and know a total in there. So yeah. Great. Thank you, everyone. So that's why we're doing these, is because the number, sense, routines are really a little difficult and on the virtual world. And so these are just some routines that can be adapted kindergarten through 5th grade, depending on how you want to do it. You can either fill in for the kindergartners to help to keep them up and have them have whiteboards, or the 5th graders, you can have them come in and actually type stuff in. So that being said, let's go ahead and get started with the 3-act task.
All right. So if you're not aware of like what a 3-act task is, it's really just that. There's 3 acts in the task. The first act is going to be your hook. The second is sort of you're taking the time to answer some kind of a math question. And then the third act is all about the reveal and sharing strategies. So looking at this layout, we've actually broken down a 3-act task into 4 different days. So on day 1, you'll do a notice and wonder, because again, we want to make kids curious about math, and doing the notice and wonder. Sometimes they'll come up with very interesting things, in a mathematical slant that you may have never even thought of. So it's very important to get them thinking and being curious about what the math is. So in that first day, you're going to share that video clip, which is your hook. And you're going to record, what do they notice? What do they wonder? What do they see on the screen? What's happening? We're making them curious. Day 2 is all about questions and estimating. So you're going to re-show your video clip. You're going to really think about what was the math question we wanted to get answered. And we want our kids to make an estimate. Again, estimation is a great tool for our kiddos to have. If you were at our session yesterday with SD Mysteries, estimation is at the heart of that task, where they have to be thinking about like quantities of numbers, looking at making good estimates, not too big or too small. So that's a very important part and a very important skill. And that day 2 kind of finishes up that first act 1. Day 3 goes into Act 2, which is we're going to revise our estimate and we're going to actually solve our problem. We're going to need to know some information to be able to solve the problem, because the noticing and wonderings won't cover it. You're going to want to know specific information pertaining to the problem that we're going to have to solve. And then we're going to revise and record a new estimate and then actually go about solving the problem. Now, the solving the problem can be done in several different ways. It could be in partners, you could be doing small groups, you could be doing this as a whole group. You might have some kids who may solve the problem, be given the problem, given the information, go home, do it. Your asynchronous kids may be doing the problem asynchronously, and maybe you're meeting up all together. There's lots of different ways to do that solve portion. So be thinking about that as we come to that section. And then the day 4 is really the Act 3. We're sharing our strategies, we're revealing the answer, and we're reflecting back on everybody's way and how they did it. And this really just brings in lots of multiple perspectives and lots of multiple representations on how kids may have thought about or solved the problem. All right, so let's get into the problem. Tammy's got a video clip because, again, this is how it's really quick, short, less than a minute. We're going to see what the problem is. Think about what you notice and what you wonder.
And so now it repeats.
Okay, so you notice it's something that's very quick, and you just want the kids to be thinking about what are they seeing, what are they noticing, what are they maybe wondering about what it's asking us to do. All right, so if you go to slide 6 in your presentation, Tammy will get back there so you can kind of get an idea. We would like you to go ahead and type in, what are some of your noticings, and maybe what is something that you wonder. Make sure I give you some wait time to put those in. Putting weights on a balance.
Sorry. Moving away.
Good job. She's focused on the number 6. I got to put my glasses on. It kind of looks like an 8 where the cursor is. Some folks are wondering, will she balance it at the end? Good question. She places 6 items on the 6. Wonder if that's going for a quantity. That could be one of my wonders. I wonder why she's putting all the weights on the 6. Yeah, like why didn't she choose a 4? How much does it weigh? Very good. I like all your mathematical observations. You guys are thinking very mathematically about how that problem could be, how that problem's coming to be. And you guys are having very, very good questions with regard to that. All right. So.
Oh, I just now noticed she put 6 items on 6. I didn't notice that before.
Ah, see, and this is also, you know, another thing to bring up as we go into the next slide, 7, is this is going to be that part 2, that day 2, where we're going to rewatch the video. And so maybe, Tammy, just as you said, you didn't realize that it did that. You might want to go back, and the second time you look at the video, you might say, oh, yeah, you're right. I didn't notice that the first time. But kind of bringing that to their awareness, bringing that to their attention, and also having sort of that mathematical focus with what you were doing is a good way to kind of bring back that task and think about how we're doing it. So on slide 7, you see here, we are now talking about what is the math question that we want answered. And as we can see, some of our folks were already hinting at that in their wonders. They're wondering how they're going to make it balance, right? What weights will need to be placed on that scale in order to make it balanced? And if we hadn't noticed that there was, 6 on the 6 last time, that might be something that we kind of want to say, oh yeah, that's right, that 6 was there. We need to might be thinking about, you know, is it going to balance, and what weights are we going to need to make sure that it balances? But we're not going to know all the information quite yet. That's coming, right? That's coming in that Act 2, where we're going to have to talk about what are our next pieces of information that we're going to need. All right, so also within this, and we want to make sure we always do an estimate. Okay, so knowing what little information we have right now, we want to think about, we have our math question. How are we going to know what weights are going to need to be on there to balance? We're going to go to slide 8, and we're going to make an estimate. And what I like here is this is kind of done, you know, sort of like, I believe it's like on a wave. So you can kind of see, I think about this as like the Goldilocks. You know, you have kind of a too low, you kind of have a too high, and you have it just right. Okay, so when you're thinking about a low estimate, you've got to think about, well, what is the lowest estimate I could make as far as something that might be there? Like I might say, you know, 6 is going to be kind of a low estimate in terms of an amount of weights that might be on there, just because I'm thinking that might be where it's at. A high estimate might be, well, let's say if I said 100. I don't think 100 is going to cut it, because maybe that might be too much. I don't know how much weight I could get on the total amount. And then you want to make a just right estimate, which is where you think it's probably going to have to be. So it might be, we're not quite sure what number it's going to be asking us to do in terms of how many we're going to put on there, but we're going to want to probably have a just right estimate right there in the middle. And Tammy's gone ahead and filled in, I think, hers. Would you go ahead right now and add in your too low, just right, and high estimate about what you think it's going to be? I can see in 12 and that too low. $15 in our just right, 75, 50 over there in our high estimates. And again, the more information that you're going to get in this second part, you're going to be revising those estimates. So this is just your initial impression, because we want to think about quantities in terms of low, high, and just right estimates, because we want our kids to be using that estimation. Estimation is really a great skill for our kids to have, so that they kind of are thinking in that mathematical space all the time. All right, so maybe you're trying to figure out, Miss Sears, can I just get some information on how to solve this problem? Yeah, now's the time for that to happen. I want you to tell me, what do you need to know in order to solve this problem? Do all the weights weigh the same?
Oh, sorry, I spelled way wrong.
It's okay. Do all the weights weigh the same?
I still spelled it wrong, didn't I? Nope.
Do the weights have more of an impact the further back they go? I know I'm wondering what's on the other side of the scale. Like, what number am I trying to balance it with? Because I know I put it on the 6 the first time, and I noticed there was numbers going on the other side. I'm trying to probably figure out, I wonder what's on that other side that I'm going to need to try and make it balance with, because we do need to make it balance. We know that from the math question. Thanks, Tammy, for typing that, by the way. What number am I trying to balance it with? Because that's going to be very important. Because if I don't know that other number on the other side, I can't really quite figure out what weights I'm going to need, right? All right. So this brings us to that information getting part in Act 2, where I'm actually going to give you the answer to those questions so that you can go ahead and solve that problem. All right. So if you look on slide 10, we see that there are 6 on that 6. Okay. So we're looking to probably try to figure out what was that 6 of 6. Okay, that might help us reaffirm our estimates as well. We're looking for a number that's going to be those 6 sixes, and however the kids decide to figure that out, whether it's multiplication, repeated addition, putting them in groups, arrays, whatever it may be. What we also need to know on slide 11 is what number did it have to balance with on the other side? Do we now know that number that it needed to balance with? Just answer out if you know it. It's going to be that 9. I'm seeing it. I'm seeing that 9, but there's only 1 on that 9 right now. I'm wondering how many are there going to need to make that to make it work. So if we know a 9 is what we need to have it balanced with on the other side, and we know our 6 of 6 that we have from the other side, do you have enough information now to solve the problem? Give me a thumbs up if you do. I'm looking for some thumbs. Tammy's got her thumb up. Raina's got her thumb up. Yadira's got her thumb up. Kind of to the side way. Yadira, what do you still need? You think you got enough information?
I still don't understand. Yes.
So what we're trying to figure out is we want to know that math question, which is what weights will need to be placed on the scale to balance it. So we know there's 6 of 6 on the one side. Okay, and we know that there's 9 on the other side. Right now, if you just had that one peg on that 9, would that 9 balance with the 6 of 6? Or you're going to need to have more, right? So you're going to need to figure out how many of those pegs need to go on that 9 in order to figure out how to make that balance. So we need to know whatever amount is going to be on the left side has to match the amount on the right side. All right. You feeling confident now? Good. All right. Melissa, I don't see you, but hopefully you're ready to solve the problem. So here is where you put in your information. How did you solve the problem? And we want to hear maybe your rationale, maybe your strategy. If you just want to put in your numerals, your number sentence as to how you figured out the problem, that's okay. If you want to write an explanation, that's okay too. Here's your opportunity to tell us how you figured out how to solve that problem. Numbers, words, numerals, they all work. We want our kids to use them all. And representations would be also good. I can see if you had a student that had their whiteboard here and they were explaining it on their whiteboard, maybe they can just flash up their whiteboard and tell you how they solved that problem. Again, it's those different representations, those different ways that we thought about the problem. That's where the conversation is. That's where the money is in terms of getting our kids to have that mathematical discourse and understand what we need them to be doing. All right, look, I'm seeing some great thinking there. 6 and 6 equals 36. There's some little thought bubbles. And you have another sentence that goes with it, Raina. So 9 and some number, there's a missing, I'm trying to think of, it's not a subtrahend, it's not an added. It's got to be a multiplicative one. I'm going to have to remember what that term is. And
And whoever did the 9 times something equals 36 helped me figure in mine.
Very good. Very good. All right. So are we ready to see if our first thoughts were correct, if our estimates were correct, if our strategies were correct? Here's the time we're going to do that. We're going to reveal what actually happened. So you come back to the video. So we're seeing her put those on. There's 3. Let's see. And 4. Is it going to happen? Excitement. I'm just watching you, dear. She was like,
hold on, I better pause it, otherwise it's gonna.
Or otherwise it's gonna continue on a loop.
Yeah, let's continue to the next one.
All right. So let's share and reveal. Let's see if we were right. 6 and 6 equals 9 times 4. All right. So I'm looking back at kind of your guys' answers that were back on number 12, on slide 12. Let me ask a little bit about how you guys thought about that. So for the person that said, I think there was going to be a 4 placed on the 9, how did you think about that? Your answer was correct. How did you think about that?
I don't know. I was looking at 9 and what's the difference between 6 and there's 3. 6 is closer to the center, so it couldn't be half because they're not like halfway in between. So I thought one more of 3 would be 4, and that should balance it.
Okay. Did you maybe do any addition or subtraction or multiplication in helping you figure out that answer?
I mean, I just went from the 9 minus the 6 gave me 3, and I thought that's exactly half. But because the scale was a little further, I added 1 more, thinking maybe that'll balance it. I was just guessing.
Oh, okay. So your guess was pretty good.
I just thought that, the further back you go, the bigger impact it has in the scale. Because when you get a regular scale, they're both at the same distance. So they're equal to each other. But this one was a little bit further to the center. So the gravity was going to affect it. I thought that's what I don't know.
Did anybody else think of it in a different way?
Well, I know it was on a 9, and I was kind of stuck there. And I actually used the other person's, and I don't remember who did it. The 6 times 6 equals 36. So 9 times something equals 36. So I used that, someone else's thinking, to help me to go, well, I know not what's times 9 to get 36.
Definitely. Raina, were you about to say something?
Yeah, well, I'm thinking for the little ones, you could just add up 6 plus 6 plus 6 plus 6 and have them, 6 times. So 36 is our target number. So how do we get 9 to 36? And how many jumps is that going to take?
Yeah. And again, having like I said, a whiteboard or, having them actually reveal their thinking, show their thinking might be a good strategy to have on that. And Helen, welcome. Thank you for joining us. I've dropped in the presentation, but we'll also have a recording if you missed the first part of this. So that is, in essence, that is the 3-act task. We've ran through each of the 3-act tasks to do. The hook, getting you guys involved in that math problem, the sharing of the math question, making an estimate, and then now revising our estimate, solving the problem, and sharing our strategies as to how we reveal them. So that is 3-act task in an essence. And I know you guys are going to have fun with all the different resources that we've given to you to help you with the different grade levels as well. All right, so I'm on slide 14, and I know that hybrid is sort of out there. I don't know if any of you at your schools are having to go back to that hybrid coming up. If you are, what are some ways you could think about to adapt these routines to this hybrid setting? Or perhaps if you're staying virtual, what are some other ways you can adapt it to the virtual setting? Not saying that we did it perfectly wonderful. Maybe you guys have other suggestions. What are some ways that you can think about that routine and how to adapt it to either a hybrid or a remote setting? Now that you've experienced it.
I would definitely make smaller groups maybe, and then have the small groups come up with their own conclusion. And then when they find their answer, I guess the final day or third day, get the groups together and see if they all got the same. And then, they can discuss whom they might think is right or wrong, and they can defend their answers that way.
I like that. There's a blog I follow that it's called Start an Argument with Math, and I love it. I love to start arguments with math. Good suggestion. Anyone else want to chime in on that? And again, I try to honor your guys' wait time there too, but I don't want to like jump the gun really fast. But yeah, we're always on the lookout to start more arguments with math. So if you have any other routines you want us to try, please send them our way. All right, Tammy's gonna start on with the takeaways that you got from this session.
So on your mic, unmute yourself, or in the chat, go ahead and what is a takeaway that you're going to take away from today? It could be a small piece. It could be how you're going to tweak it. It could be how you're going to use it. So just really fast, either unmute or put in the chat, what are some takeaways from today, from this short session?
So I definitely like the use of manipulatives in the classroom, and that's really hard to do virtually. So I know my daughter's using the number line right now. So instead of weights, you can do the jumps and stepping stones with the number line.
So a different representation.
A row task, yeah. Absolutely.
And Yadira said, how can simple math tasks incite some curiosity? Yeah, this is all about like not teaching math the way that we were taught. It's looking at it a different way and building that curiosity, building that fun that's coming back into math.
Yeah, the frustrating part is for those kiddos that need extra practice, you want to hand them blocks, you want to hand them, and they don't have it. So you're saying, well, run outside and grab some pebbles, grab some beans, do something.
Get something. Go find your stuffed animals, whatever you got.
Little army men.
Just a reminder, we have this flyer. So we'll be doing some new number sense routines starting next month. And here are some dates and times that we'll be doing it. It'll be the same code as today. I know you're all here for the make and take. So if you click on the name make and take, it will take you to the folder. Oops, let me get to the folder. That we have, and in here you will always see we give directions for the whatever number sense routine we're doing, and we give the template that we used. But what we try to do for you guys is we give you a folder of resources. Sometimes it's by grade level, sometimes it's not, but it's just a lot of resources for you. So we have K5 examples. You can go in there and see every grade level of some examples. But what we've also put this time is additional resources of actual websites that have a slew of 3-act tasks for you. And so it's not just from like one place, but it's from all over. And you can see even if you're in higher up grade levels, want to use Desmos, we have some Desmos ones that you could go to. So here's just some resources, a plethora of resources that you could use for that. And I wanted to thank all of you. And Jen and I are always here. If you need anything, here's our email. And please feel free to contact us if you would like some support in anything or just have a question. We're here for you guys. Thank you so much, everyone, for coming.
Are